Hi all, welcome to the channel Cloud Knowledge. Today in this video we'll study about the copying of Azure SQL database from one server to another server. If we take the playlist of Azure SQL database, we have already studied about copying the database to the same server, creating the copy of the database into the same server. But in this video we will see how we can create the copy of the database onto a different server. So here under the SQL documentation by Microsoft, under the section load and move data, we have copy a database within Azure. If we go to this page, here we have the heading copy a transactionally consistent copy of a database in Azure SQL database, where they have given in detail the different steps and ways to copy the database. So we have studied how we can do it through portal when it is on the same server. And if we go further down here, we have copy to a different server. First, we'll study how we can copy the database from one server to another server. So let me go to the whiteboard here. Let's open the whiteboard, and here, let's say we have database 1, which is in server DB1 server. We have database 2, which is in server DB2 server. Okay, now this is source and this is destination, let's say. Okay, they are under the same subscription, but they are two different databases with different servers. Now let's say we want to copy this database, copy DB1 to this DB2 server, so that this server along with DB2 server should have copy of DB1. This is what we are going to accomplish in this video. Let's go back to the documentation. If we go above a little in the documentation, here it's written that when we copy a database onto the same server, the same logins can be used on both databases. Okay, this is very important, the logins. The security principle you use to copy the database becomes the database owner on the new database. But when we copy the database to a different server, the security principle that initiated the copy operation on the target server becomes the owner of the new database. Hence, if we go down here, we have the steps given. Okay, under the section copy to a different subscription, under the section copy to a different subscription, the steps are given here. We have to follow these steps one by one. We have to create the login, user, give the role of DB manager onto the master database of the source server. Then we have to grant the DB owner permission to the database. Then we have to take the SID. Here we have the logins, users, and permission granting steps. These 5 steps we have to follow in order to copy the database from one server to another server in SQL database. Same will be followed when we are copying it to a different subscription. Okay, so these steps I have copied here in the notepad. So these steps we will follow one by one in this tutorial video. So the very first step is create login and user in the master database of the source server. Let me first show you the source and the destination database and the servers. So let's go to the portal. In the portal, here I've already created target DB or the destination DB with the name of server as target DB server. And if we go to this page, here we have source DB with the server name as source DB server. Okay, in the source we have one table, demo1, and in the target we have employee table. Okay, now in the source DB we'll go to the overview section of this SQL database. And here we could see the server name. If we go back to the target database, go to the overview. Here we could see the details of the target database. The database is target DB, server name is target DB server, and source DB is this one. Okay, both these databases have one table. Our requirement is to copy the source DB from this server to this target DB server. That is a different server. If we go to the steps, it says create login and user in the master database of the source server. Master database is not shown in the Azure portal. If we go here to the query editor, let's go to the query editor of the source database and try to log in to the source database. Here, try to log in here. We couldn't see the master database, and it says that the login and user has to be created in the master database of the source server. So we'll copy this command. So in order to execute these commands in the master database, we have to connect to this source database using SSMS, that is SQL Server Management Studio. So we'll copy the server name, we'll open Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, we'll click on connect to the database engine, and we'll paste the server name here, sourcedbserver.database.windows.net. The authentication type used will be SQL Server Authentication, and the login. The login credential is the credential which you have given during creation of this database. Okay, so we'll try to log in to this database. We'll click on remember password, connect. So the source DB is connected. The server is connected here. If we open the databases, we could see the source DB database here inside this server. And if we open the system databases, we could see the master database. So the master database is the system database, and we have to execute these commands in the master database of the source server. So the source server we have connected in SSMS, that is source DB server. We'll click on master and click on new query, and we'll copy the command here. The step 1 of the commands. Step 1 is to create login and user. So login, we have to give the login name. Let's give the login name as demo login with password. The password we have to give here. So here we'll give the password openly because it's just for demo purpose. Keeping in mind, it should have uppercase, lowercase, 8 character length and special character. Okay, so let's make it as ABCD 1 2 3 4 hash. Okay, then create user login name. The login name which we have given here, we'll simply copy it and paste. Now we are creating user demo login. Default schema, we'll leave it as DBO, alter role, DB manager role we have to give, and member login name. The login name we have given as demo login. So we'll paste here. This looks fine. All 3 commands looks fine. We'll click on execute. Commands completed successfully. So the first step is done. Query executed successfully. Now the second step. Second step is create the user in the source database and grant DB owner permission to the database. So here we'll copy these commands and we have to execute it in the source database. The source database is the database which is present inside this server, which has to be copied to the other server. So we'll click on the source database, right click and click on new query. Paste the command, that is the step 2 commands where we are creating the user and granting it DB owner permission. And here we will take the login name. The login name was demo login. So copy it from the previous screen. Paste here. Paste the login name again. And we have to then give the DB owner permission to this login name, which is demo login. So these commands we are executing in the source database. In the master database, we have created the login and user, and now we are creating the user in the source database. Go back here to the source database query window and we'll click on execute. Commands completed successfully. So we have performed the second step also. Now the third step. Capture the SID of the user login name. In our case, the login name is demo login. From the master database, select SID from sys users system table where name is login name. So we'll copy this and we'll execute it in the master database, because from master database we have to capture the SID. So we'll go back here in this window. So we'll click on master, new query, and here we'll paste the command. Select SID from sys users where name is equals to login name, and the login name is demo login. Demo login. We'll execute it, and here in the output we'll see a sys ID is generated. If we expand it, we could see the SID given here. Now what is this ID? Why we are creating login, user, assigning role, permission? These all we can study if we go here in the standard documentation by Microsoft under the SQL Server section. What is login? Create login step, the details about it in detail, create user after login, then altering the role, what is SID, etc. All we can study in detail. But for now we are interested to execute the commands and copy our database. So we'll simply follow the steps. So here we will simply follow the stepwise queries to get the task done. So we have executed the SID, we have got the SID. Now comes step 4. Connect to destination server. Create login and user in the master database same as of the source server. Now comes the role of destination server. Let's go back to the Azure portal, and the Azure portal we have already seen that the target DB is our destination database and it is having the server target DB server. Okay, so we'll go to the overview. We'll take the server name from this database target DB server. Whether this server name has database or not, we are not concerned. So the server should be there. So we have the server. We'll copy the server name and then we'll go to the SSMS and connect to this target database. We'll paste the server name here. SQL Server authentication. It will be the same login and password which we gave while creation of this server. We'll remember the password. Click connect. We'll try to expand the databases, the system databases. Here we have the master of the target database. We'll right click, open new query. In the meantime, we'll go to the notepad and we'll see the commands to be executed in the destination server. It has create login and user in the master database, same as of the source server. So we'll copy these commands of the step 4. We'll go back here and paste. The login name used will be demo login, okay, which we have used in the source server. Demo login, the password which we have used there. What was the password, if you remember? So here we have the password. We'll copy this password, go to the target DB and paste here. Okay, SID of login name on the source server. The SID was generated on the master. Okay, so we'll connect to the master. Yeah, here we have the SID. So we'll right click, copy. We'll go back to the destination, that is the target DB, and we'll paste the SID here. So in the command, we are creating login with the password along with the SID. Then create user. User will be demo login. For login, demo login. With default schema, alter role, we are giving the DB manager role. Add member login name will be demo login. Okay, so the commands look fine here. Now execute it in the master DB of the target server. Executed successfully here. Okay, now go back to the notepad. Now we have the final step. Step 5, execute the copy of database script from the destination server using the credentials created above, that is by logging into the database with the user created above. So we have freshly created a user demo login. It is saying that we have to execute this copy database script. This is the script. Just copy this script from the destination server. Okay, from the destination server means here. This is the destination server. But we have to log into this destination server with the credentials demo login. So we have to right click, disconnect first, and then try to again connect to this target server using the login which we have created, which is demo login, and the password we have used there. So the password is ABCD1234 and hash. Remember, connect. Now our target SQL Server is connected using the new login user which we have created. So here we have expanded the database in the target DB and we have to execute the final command. So here the command is create database, the new database name as copy of the source database, that is source database, and the server name of that source database. So here we'll execute this command. Execute this in the destination server using the credentials. So here in the target DB, we'll click on new query and we'll paste the query, create database, new database name. Let's say new DB demo. Okay, as copy of source server name and source database name. Source server name and source database name. If we go back to the portal, source DB name is source DB. Here we'll paste, and the server name is source DB server. Okay, source DB server dot source DB. We'll click on execute. Query is getting executed. So this query execution time will depend on how big our database is. So here we have got the error, the source database, source DB does not exist. It's probably because of the hyphen here. So let's enclose it in square braces and now try to execute this. Again, it landed into error. Now we have enclosed braces. We'll add braces to both the server name and the database name. Try to execute it. The duration of this command depends on how much data is present in the database to be copied. So we'll wait until the execution completes. In the meantime, we can go to the portal. In the target database, we have the server. So we'll open the server. And in the server, if we go to the section SQL databases under the settings, we could see that it still has just one DB. And now we could see that after applying the square brackets to the server and the database name, the command executed successfully. Okay, now we will right click here on the target DB and click on refresh. If we go back here in the target server to the SQL database section, we could see new DB demo is created, the copy of the source database in the new server or in the target server. And if we try to expand the databases here, we could now see the new DB demo is created. If we expand here, the new DB demo, and open the tables, so this is having the same table demo1 as the source DB, because the source DB, it is having the table demo1, which is the table present in the source DB. New DB demo is the replica of the source DB which is present in another server. So we have successfully copied this source DB from the source server to the target server using these steps. Okay, using these 5 steps. Hope you have understood how we could copy Azure SQL database from one server to another server following the simple 5 steps mentioned here. Do let me know in comments if you have any questions. Thank you for watching the video. Happy learning. Bye.